Good evening, I'm Dr. McKay. I'm the Camden School Physician. I was also a private physician in Camden for a number of years. I have been charged with reviewing the Department of Health and New York State guidelines to ensure that they are in accord with my training and also my most recent experience with Corona. Likewise, I have an obligation to review the plan to safely return in the fall. I was a private physician for a number of years. More recently, I've been a hospital physician in Oneida, and as such, I have been in close contact and have been talking about nothing but COVID for a number of months now. I am happy to report that Oneida has had a relatively, and relatively is the operative word, relatively successful experience in managing the disease. And the reasons for this, I think, are that we implemented some very simple principles when it comes to containment of infectious illness. This is really important because these are the same principles that inform the Department of Health and that ultimately drive the New York State guidelines. So we're talking about very simple things here. Hand washing, barriers in the form of masks or personal protective equipment, sometimes physical barriers between groups of people. Distancing in several different forms, including social distancing. Sometimes cohorting is successfully employed such that one large group is not exposed at any given time. I've been through the plan to reopen several times now. I've scrutinized the New York State guidelines. I've discussed the matter in ad nauseum with Dr. Root. And I am happy to report that my professional opinion is that the plan, as laid out by Dr. Root and his colleagues, is not only meets the expectations of New York State, but in many cases, Dr. Root has devoted some additional effort in order to provide the gold standard, or the so-called best practice, to make sure that we have at least the chance to safely open in the fall, protect students, protect our staff, and protect the community at large. My compliments, my thanks, my gratitude to Dr. Root and his colleagues who have worked tirelessly through the summer months in order to ensure the safe return. I am speaking for myself, but I'm sure the sentiment is shared by many in the community, and that I hope this allows us to get back to life as usual, or at least a new normal that is a far cry better than what we're faced with at present. I thank you very much for your time and for the opportunity to speak. And in the fall, my thoughts and my heart will be with the community that's been so very good to me for a number of years. Thank you all very much.
Hello, my name is Dr. Revo Root. I'm the superintendent of Camden Central Schools. I'm going to take my mask off because we're socially distanced. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. Last week, we canvassed our parents and our faculty and our staff for questions that they had about our reopening. And we received many questions, and we went through as an administrative team and we sort and organized them by theme, and then we identified the essential key questions that we know people want answers to. Today, you will hear a video parents will hear a video at the elementary, middle, and high school level in which we will go through and answer these essential questions that you have shared with us. We We also received questions from faculty and staff, and we have a video for faculty and staff. It's important for us to put information out to our public as well as our faculty and staff. We're going to continue to do that through Parent Square, through our Facebook sites, as well as through our webpage. And I know that our principals have created a frequently asked question form that will be going out soon, and on Monday for faculty and staff, if you'd like to join me in a live town hall virtual meeting, we'll send out more information about that in the next few days, but you'll be able to join me at 4 p.m. This Monday for a live virtual meeting in which you'll be able to share written questions with me, and I'll answer those live right in front of you. And then at 5 p.m. We will have another live virtual meeting in which parents will be able to write questions, to send questions to me live, and I'll answer them live. And that will be right at 5 p.m. on Monday, and more information will come out about those meetings and how to participate over the next few days. The first question that I'm going to address is, will schools mandate COVID testing for my student? So when Governor Cuomo came out and said that schools do COVID testing, it was misleading and erroneous. Schools do not do the actual testing. We do not have the testing supplies, nor do we have the trained staff, nor the medical staff to go ahead and carry out an operation like that. I will tell you what we have been doing is we've been partnering with the County Department of Health and our county executive, and they've been very helpful. And so what I've done is, if you go to our webpage, I've shared several sites that people can go to for COVID testing. I do believe that testing is another strategy we can use to try to mitigate the spread of illness, and it's an important part. And you know, testing is free at Rome Griffiths Air Force Base, and that's right on our webpage. If you go to that, you have to make an appointment. I would verify that it's free, but they've advertised it. I called them and they told me it's free to anybody that wants to show up. So we will not test our students or our staff. However, if there is a positive case, the Department of Health will come in. They'll conduct contact tracing, and they will identify and they will mandate that certain individuals are tested, just like everyone in our society is experiencing. If you've had somebody close to you that you've been in close contact and not social distanced with, then you know that once they test positive, that the Department of Health will quarantine certain people, and they will require testing for certain people. But that's a function of the Department of Health. That's not a function of schools. So we're going to work closely with them so that we have successful implementation of those plans. But we as schools do not do the testing ourselves. If all students are learning remotely, how will the schedule work? So if all of our students are learning remotely, that means that the governor of New York has stated that our region needs to close schools and that we are sending all of our students home. And if that is occurring, then our teachers will be teaching lessons at the same time that their class is going to be held. We feel that's extremely important for the normalcy and the routine, as well as to allow students to ask questions of their teacher and to get the feedback that is immediate. We know that's an essential part to student learning. However, we do understand we have students that may not be able to access that English lesson at 8:30 in the morning, and they may not have access to Wi-Fi in their home, for example. So what we are also doing is our teachers, all of our students are learning remotely, our teachers will record those lessons, and by recording those lessons, they will be posted, and students can access those lessons at a later time. So again, the lessons will be taught at the time of the class, but the lesson will be recorded so students can view that lesson later on when they can gain access to Wi-Fi. Why can't students come into school every day of the week? And that's a common question. I do want our residents to know that we started out trying to identify a plan where we could bring in all of our students. We looked at our pre-K through 4. We felt that there was the greatest need for students to be in at that level. and every single day. And so we looked at our staffing, and of course, you know by the regulations, we really, in order to socially distance students in the class sizes that we have to bring in half of our students. Bringing in half of our students means that we have to have an additional space and an additional teacher. Now, pre-K through 4, we have 39 core classroom teachers. And so we look to repurpose our staff and see if we could double the amount of classroom teachers, or at least come close, so that we could disperse the students accordingly and bring them in every day. We have 9 AIS and early intervention teachers, pre-K through 4, that are certified in K through 6 or 1 through 6 elementary certification to teach. And so we basically ended up 30 teachers short. Now, this is a very fiscally conservative community. The Board of Education and the superintendents before me, along with myself, have always taken a fiscally conservative approach to our budgets. And so we do not have 30 teachers sitting around that we could just simply bring in and go ahead and bring in all of our students. So as much as it is to our dissatisfaction, we have to play by the rules and regulations given to us, and that is why we can't bring in all of our students every day right away. The next question that I have is, does the district provide or pay for childcare? So schools are always about education. Certainly, having children in school allows parents to go to work, and I get that. And that's why we wanted to bring in all of our elementary students, and we're disappointed we couldn't. We don't provide daycare. However, last spring, I sent out 5 different times. I sent out a parent square to all of our parents and posted on our website a regional information number that people could call, and they had access to 120 different daycare providers. I had 2 parents that put their children in daycare. I realized there may be a greater need in the fall. I've asked for that regional director information as of yesterday, and I will look to put that out as long as that still exists, and maybe we can give some help and support to connect parents to daycare. I would encourage them to call the number. You're not committing yourself, but at least you can get more information. And we do sympathize with our parents that are looking to find care for their safe care for their children during the day. And we do hope that soon that we'll be able to have a return to school in which we can bring in all of our students. As far as paying for daycare, I would call your local, your state, or your federal government. That's a role that government can play, and so that would be up to them to decide. Certainly the school is not afforded money by the same state and federal governments to go ahead and pay for that for individual parents.
Hello, my name is Carl Kyle. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business. I have been asked to address 3 questions in reference to transportation. One of the questions we received was, do students need to wear their mask when on the bus? The district has been listening to, read about, and heard from many professionals in the medical field, as well as the Department of Health, on the enormous value of utilizing face coverings to slow the spread of the coronavirus. To that end, the district is therefore requiring the use of masks by students, drivers, and bus aides at all times while riding in the school vehicle. We do understand that there may be medical conditions for individuals such that they may not be able to wear a mask. We anticipate this will be few in numbers and therefore minimize any additional exposure. Also, whenever possible, our bus vehicles will have their windows slightly open to provide fresh air for the ride. Our second question in reference to transportation was, will siblings be riding in the same seat together? Our district families recently completed a survey regarding bus riding. With that survey, we found that approximately 50% of our students will not be riding the bus. We also know that approximately 18% of our students will learn from home starting this fall. With the hybrid model of learning, of those attending, we know that about 45% of the entire body will be attending on any given day. Our transportation department will be arranging routes such that one student will sit in one seat. If they are in the same household, we are asking those students to sit together because that will accommodate some additional seating on the school buses. We know that siblings and individuals in the same household share the same home environment, so there's a pretty good, comfortable feeling that those individuals can also sit together on the bus, those siblings. If there are any special concerns for that arrangement, please contact our transportation department and we'll work with you on that. Our final transportation question was, what will BOCES transportation look like? BOCES transportation has a morning run, a midday run, and an afternoon run. We anticipate no changes to those routes. However, we will be putting on additional buses so that we can maintain the one student per seat. We're also going to require face masks to be worn during that trip, and we're going to be providing the additional air makeup through opening the windows whenever possible. So thank you for those transportation questions.
Hello, my name is Heather Wheeland. I'm the Director for Instructional Technology and Data for Camden. What if I do not have any access to the internet? The internet hotspots set up at each school last spring are still accessible every day. Information on how to connect to these hotspots will be sent out in September. All school Chromebooks will automatically connect to our school networks. If you are unable to access the provided internet hotspots and high-speed internet is not available at your residence, please contact your building principal. What if my child needs a device to learn remotely? We provided computers to students in need last year, and we did not collect those devices. As many of you have probably heard on the news, there is a worldwide shortage of Chromebooks. This past spring, we ordered 800 additional Chromebooks. However, we currently have no anticipated delivery date for them. If you need to borrow a device, please email devices@camdencsd.org with your name, your phone number, and the names and grade levels of your children that need to borrow devices. And we will do our best to fill all of those requests. This device will require your child to sign in with their Camden account, and all activity will be filtered and monitored as it is here at school.
Hello, my name is Nick Palizzi. I'm the Director of Special Education for the Camden Central School District. We were asked a couple of questions in regard to the instruction for students with disabilities, and I'll do my best to answer them for you right now. The first question was, what will services for students with special needs look like in person as well as remotely? All of our programs will be running this school year, both in person and remotely. Students receiving resource room, consultant teacher, integrated co-teaching, or special class supports will be served 2 days a week in person and 3 days a week online. Students in our self-contained classes, which are our 12-1-1 or 15-1-1 classes, will attend in person 4 days a week and 1 day online. For the online days, students will receive their supports through their teachers' Google Classrooms. These online resources may take the form of pre-recorded lessons or live lessons with the teacher. Related services will still be provided to students who have these services listed in their IEPs. These services may be delivered in person or remotely based on the needs of the students and the schedule of the related service providers. Providers will do their best to serve the students face-to-face whenever possible. The next question was, are out-of-district programs for students with special needs still occurring? Yes, all of our out-of-district programs that Camden partners with will still be serving students in September. They all have slightly different schedules, and one of them has decided to provide their program online, but most of them will be seeing students in person at least 4 days a week. Students will be transported from their homes to the programs just as they typically would. Each of the programs will be reaching out to every enrolled student within the next week to share information about how the programs will be run this year. If parents still have questions, They can always reach out to the Camden Special Education Department, and we would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steve Kamenecki. I'm the Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Health at Camden Central School District. I'm here today to answer a couple questions about the status of athletics and physical education, what that will look like in our district. So starting with athletics, as of August 19th, the latest update is that fall sports are tentatively scheduled to start on September 21st. That would mean just practices, not games. Games would start on September 28th. Should that plan not happen, should the state decide that we will not have sports starting September 21st, the next plan would be to go to 3 condensed seasons starting in January. So, for example, winter sports would go from January to March, fall sports would go from March to May, and spring sports would go from May to June. Now, keep in mind that these dates are just tentative and the plan can change at any time. As soon as we get an update from New York State, an update will be sent out via Parent Square and Twitter at Camden Blue Devil. If you have any questions about athletics, feel free to contact the athletic office and we'll get your question answered as soon as possible. The next question, what will phys ed look like this year? So our phys ed teachers have been working really hard this year to create plans in place to ensure the safety of all of our students and make sure that sanitation measures are in place. So physical education teachers are going to take their students outside for class as much as possible whenever the weather is nice. That way we ensure that there's adequate social distancing when doing aerobic activities. If the classes are inside, students are going to be required to wear masks, and if the teachers are conducting aerobic activities, students are going to be required to socially distance at 12 feet, not 6, but 12. So that might be a little tough, but there are plans in place. Our physical education teachers are going to be more focusing on object control skills, flexibility, social and emotional learning. If a student needs to take a mask break, they'll be able to go to a designated area by the physical education teacher, and then they can rejoin the class.
Hello, my name's Chuck Chafee, and I'm a retired school administrator with over 25 years of experience in education. And I'm filling in for Ms. DeCola while she's expecting the birth of her second son. And while we're talking about Ms. DeCola, please keep your fingers crossed. We're expecting any day now to have a little bundle of joy that will join us. And so again, please keep her in your thoughts and prayers over the next couple days. So we had some questions that were entered in over the last few days, and we'd like to take my best shot at answering those. When will student schedules and supply lists be released to parents? Actually, as we speak, they're being mailed out this afternoon, so you should expect them at the end of this week. A second question, would you please talk about your hallway passing procedures? We've extended our hallway passing procedures from 3 minutes to a 5-minute passing. So we're going to release one team at a time, and then we'll give about 2.5 minutes for that team to make it to their location, and then we'll release the second team. During that time frame, as I'll talk about later, they will be passing. They will expect them to have their masks on and to maintain social distancing as much as practical. If they make it to the classroom, that classroom has not yet been dismissed, they will stand in the hallway at 6 feet intervals, again, until that classmate have left. How are kids screened daily? Again, that's going to start actually when students are picked up on their bus. The bus driver will screen them. If they have a temperature of over 100.0, they will not be allowed to get on the bus. For student drop-off by parents, we will screen them at the doorway. And again, same methods go put. If anybody does not have or has a temperature in excess of 100 degrees, we will not allow them to come to school. Parents, again, and you can be a big help here. Again, if you could do this every day before your child gets to the bus or brings them into school so that you know in advance, that can save you having to bring them here and then us having to say, no, they can't come. So if you could do a pre-screen, that would be greatly appreciated. What is your protocol if someone during the day is identified with the COVID-19 symptoms? Again, our nurse will basically segregate them into a separate room. They will do the testing procedures, which again are lined up with our COVID document. If that person has been shown to test or have the symptoms that they could be test positive, they will immediately be asked to leave the building, whether it's a staff member or a student. Parents, we will be calling you to pick up your students. It's critical because we are not going to be able to transport them on district transportation as we may have had the ability to do so in the past. So again, we're going to expect that if somebody's coming in and does show those symptoms, your parents are going to have to come get them. When will face coverings be required? Face coverings will be required anytime that your child cannot maintain that 6-foot distancing between themselves and another student or an adult. For example, if they're moving around in the classroom, going to the pencil sharpener, picking up their papers, or obviously when they move between classes, they will have to wear their face mask. We will ask them to wear their mask as they head to lunch, and we probably will talk about that at another video, but the students will be separated by desks in the lunchroom, so that, again, they can take their masks off in lunch or while they're seated at their desks. Can my student bring their own PPE? And the answer to that is absolutely they can. Again, they just have to make sure that those, meet the guidelines that will provide the face covering to, again, to prevent the droplet spread. And they also have to make sure that they are appropriate for, again, school-aged children. What social emotional procedures will be in place? And I think this is a critical question because we know the impact that this virus has had on us since March. I mean, as an adult, we should have had better tools and able to us to process this. And we're talking about school-aged children. So we're very well aware of that. We will have each of our students complete a skills assessment survey. So again, very similar to what we've done in the past. And then we can take a look at those results and we can identify what we think, again, the course of action is from then on. We are extending our homeroom, so which allow our teachers to identify, again, the SEL time and to be able to, again, hone in on kids and the needs that they are going to see. And then monthly, we will do a survey, again, of the needs. We'll share the good news. We'll discuss current topics of concern. And then again, sometimes it's best for kids to write this information down. So we're going to kind of encourage journalizing of their thoughts and questions that they may have regarding what's going on and how this impacts them and what can they expect going forward. Another question is, how is grading going to be done? And basically, if you kind of revert back to what the beginning of the school year was last year, that's what our grading will look like. In the spring, we did have to kind of exit the building relatively quickly. We fired up the remote learning. And so therefore, again, we might have been a little bit more accommodating with our grading procedures. Again, we have expectations. We are going to need to increase the rigor of our program. So you can expect the grading and instruction to really reflect what has been Camden's high excellence in the past and as well as going forward. What is the difference between hybrid and remote? And a lot of people are hearing that tossed out. Hybrid really, from Camden's standpoint, we will bring in kids in. One group will come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The second group will come in on Wednesdays and Fridays. While they are not in school, those other 3 days, they will be required to learn remotely. And how that looks, again, for each teacher, some teachers may use that remote day as pre-teaching, and some may use it as review. So again, your individual teacher will decide exactly what that remote looks like for those opposite 3 days. For students who have picked total remote, they will be 5 days. They will be, again, connecting with their teachers remotely, doing their work online. And then on Mondays, we are expecting them and the teachers to connect with each other either through Google Meets or some type of teacher office hours so that they can check in to make sure, again, not only academically are they doing okay, but how are they doing social emotionally? Because again, you got to think, these kids are now going to be isolated. They're going to lose that social interaction that they get by coming to school every day. So again, that's the difference between the two models. The next question, how will a child be educated if they're sick or quarantined? Very simply, if they are in the hybrid model, they're going to revert 100% to the remote model. So again, until such time as they cease exhibiting the symptoms of a COVID-19 person, which basically means that the temperature for 3 days is again at or below 100.0, they can come to school once they, again, have met that criteria. Otherwise, again, they're going into the remote capacity. Our next question is, will after-school clubs, activities, and extra help be available to students? At this point, at least through the end of September, we are not going to be holding extracurricular clubs. Sports is identified as potentially starting on September 21st. We will, again, take our lead from there, depending on what happens with the New York State Public High School Athletic Association and their determination on whether we can run fall sports or not. Will the school still do fire and lockdown drills? And the answer is yes, although we're going to have to modify exactly how that looks. Lockdown drills, the teacher will talk about that, and again, and you may or may not know, when we lock down, we huddle our kids into a corner out of sight of the door. We're not going to do that, obviously, for obvious reasons. So we're going to have the teacher walk through those and talk about where they would go, but lockdowns themselves are not going to be conducted as they were in the past. And parents, don't worry about, we will let you know in advance when we do one of those lockdown drills, so you don't have to worry about, was that a real or was that a drill? As far as the fire drills, we're still going to exit the building as we would in the past, but we're going to probably do that again, kind of a white team, blue team. We'll exit white team, we'll go follow the procedures, make sure students know exactly where they're supposed to go, where they're going to line up. We'll bring them back in, and then we'll do the white team immediately thereafter. We're still going to do the same number of drills, the same process, again, but it's just not going to look exactly like it has in the past. Last question actually is, if I have a question that wasn't answered in this video, what do I do? Very simply is, our reopening plans are listed on the website, both by elementary buildings, middle school buildings, and their high school buildings. So if that doesn't help answer your questions, hopefully these videos will. And we're also putting together a frequently asked question document, FAQ, for you guys to look at, and again, hopefully that will take care of. If all of those still don't answer your questions, give a call to the middle school office, email me, and we'll make sure we get you an answer that will hopefully take care of what you're concerned about. And finally, again, I just would like to thank the community, and really, again, getting to meet the staff, the input that they put into this plan, because it started actually several months before I got here, but you can tell that these people are invested in the community, they care about the safety of your kids, and they want to, at the same point, they want to make sure we have an academically rigorous program. So thank you very much. I look forward to at least meeting you virtually through the course of the next, again, I'm here till mid-October, and again, thank you very much, and take care.
In closing, I want to thank our faculty, our staff, and our community members for having patience with us, for understanding that we've been working hard really since March, going back to the closure, and we've been preparing for a reopening for many months, and so a lot has gone into this. We appreciate your support, and we're going to continue to do the best we can to provide the most educationally sound program for all of our students, as well as making it as safe as possible. For more information, feel free to go to our website and look at the telephone numbers of our different buildings, and feel free to call our buildings with questions. Our email addresses are there. You can email us, and of course, don't forget, if you're a Camden faculty or staff member, look for the information to join us on Monday at 4 p.m. for the live town hall meeting with myself. And if you're a parent, look for that information for that live town hall meeting on Monday at 5 p.m. Thank you very much, and have a great day.